Students with cognitive impairments will benefit from the following adaptations.
Students with cognitive deficits sometimes need a little bit of scaffolding for them to achieve the lesson, and you might even need to scale the lesson back to a grade level younger than they are in order for them to be successful. So you can offer a choice of tracers when making or drawing a still life, and let the student choose from them. If they have too much of a problem tracing around the thin ones, you can also give thicker shapes for them to trace around so that they can actually have make choices and create art that way. Again, the cognitive deficits, the double tracer method of covering up what they've already done and letting them paint on the background is a valuable tool. Tracers come in all shapes and sizes. Sometimes I'll give one like this one, creating a body, so that they can pose the body the way they want and then use blue tack to hold it down and they can trace it. They may not be able to independently draw a picture of a body. Also giving concrete examples. If you talk about a skeleton, they may not know the word skeleton, but if you show them a skeleton, let them feel a skeleton, they might know what that is if you were doing something like a Day of the Dead project. I keep bags of tracers with my lessons just so it's easy for me to have with them. Once you make the adaptation up to your lesson, it's there for years to come. So sometimes there are bags with different trees, things in nature. In this case, the students were doing a lesson and the able-bodied peers were working on drawing a castle and understanding shading, and that would be too much to do. So the alternative would be to give some pre-cut shapes that could be used as castle parts, and the student is still building their own castle design and coming up with how they want to arrange them. So they're having their meaning making in art, but you're giving them an aid to hold it. And then again, the blue tack, or just really pushing that hand over hand and using the helper hand to hold the pieces in place. When it comes to painting, you might need to go for a little bit bigger brushes if you need to. And when it comes to creating patterns, you can give pre-made patterns. They can make their own patterns by using stickers or foam rollers, or you can even get different stamps with it that they could stamp patterns on with. I've done just about everything and anything to get patterns. You could use markers to make dots with, or bottles of paint. You could also, I was trying to think of how an easy way to have a student make stripes, and I just put a glob of paint at the top of each one and gave them a little piece of foam core, and they just dragged the paint down. We were doing a red, white, and blue project. They couldn't make stars, but they could make pom-pom dipped in white and make little white dots in the blue for the project. So that's how I adapted that lesson. Anything that makes it easier for them and that they have a more successful art experience. A lot of students will come in with a board maker, and there are ones for art. So you can ask your classroom teachers or life skills or learning support teachers to have the art added on. So it'll ask the students, they can tell if they want to draw, paint, do clay, what colors they want to use. It actually is a very good tool for communication. That said, sometimes you need to simplify things for students with cognitive deficits and actually outline the area so that they don't get confused. If they're going to be painting this area green, they're going to be painting this white, and they're going to be painting that yellow. So this is how I would adapt a lesson. This is a famous artist that liked to use primary colors in his artwork, and the students had to actually draw the grid. I gave them the pre-cut pieces, but even this for a student with cognitive deficits might just be too much work and too involved. So you can easily adapt the lesson by just giving a black piece of paper and then giving them pre-cut shapes that they can still get the meaning of the lesson using primaries, using black and white, and making an art with these geometric forms. Always adding, having let them do something a little more free form is also a successful way to make art. So if all the students were doing circles that they had to fill in all of them with pastel, that would be probably too much for a special needs student, so I would allow them to use some pre-cut ones to glue on. And one final adaptation, doing something like painting a very detailed pumpkin with strokes and using pastels for the background might be a little too much, but you can still have the same effect by using, there's a star and moon roller, and then using the sponge to sponge paint the pumpkins, and they still have the same effect of getting a pumpkin patch scene in the evening. I hope you've enjoyed these adaptations.